Recognize the member from Freeborn, Representative Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. So I was told that we have 2 minutes per year that we've served, and I'll just say perish the thought if I speak for 24 minutes. Come slap me up if that happens, because you know, if you know me, you know what I think about long floor speeches. I just want to share a bit from the heart here, and I'll start by sharing how I got to this place in the very beginning. Because a little over 12 years ago, I was happily teaching school, teaching first grade, and it was a spring, it was a Saturday afternoon, beautiful sunny day, and probably in May. And a neighbor from down the street came knocking on my door. Little know that I didn't even know that he was the chair of our BPOU, and I didn't even know what a BPOU was at that time. But anyway, came knocking at my door. I stepped outside and chatted with him, and he starts talking about this and that. I'm thinking, why is he here talking to me? And pretty soon he says, have you ever considered running for office? And he was talking about running for the Minnesota House. And in my mind, I thought, are you crazy? Because no, I had not. And I, quite honestly, had never thought about it. But after speaking to him, I told him, well, I will think about it, I'll pray about it over the summer, and I'll let you know in the fall. And that's what I did. And I went from no way to, in the fall, saying, yes, I will do this. And the thing that tipped me over the edge of doing it is my over 750 kids, all of my former students, because I knew that I wanted them to have the same opportunities and freedoms that I've had growing up. And so now here I am 12 years later. And time flies, I guess. So here's some words I've thought of. And by the way, it's been an honor to serve these 12 years. But here's some words that I think come to my mind when I think of these 12 years serving. Privilege, it's a privilege. An honor, joy, fulfilling, fun, frustrating. We all know that. I'll just share a moment of fun. Former Representative Dennis Smith used to have a candy jar on his desk, and he had a thing about don't reach into there, use this cup. And it was a very strong feeling on his part. And so I got a bunch of those rubber work gloves and brought a whole bunch of them here, and we had a whole bunch of us stick them on and come around ready to grab into his candy bucket and get a picture. It was quite fun. Frustrating, well, those long, endless floor speeches, I could say. So I'll share with you a high moment. I would say, I'd have to say it was just a few days ago when that anti-grooming bill passed. That was amazing to me and definitely a high moment. Most interesting moment? Well, I served on the bonding committee for a couple terms, and one of our stops was the Hennepin County Coroner's Building. And those of you who were there with me, maybe you remember this, but we went up into this observation room. Leon's shaking his head, yes. And I won't get into the details for you, but they did inform us that some people faint when they go in that room. So we observed things, and I thought it was super interesting. So yeah, that's weird, but I love that biology and so on. Funniest moment, a number of years ago, we used to have our retiring speeches after we gabbled out at midnight. So you can imagine going for a few hours after that. Yes, it was very tiring. And I remember very well, we're going on, and people are really tired. And somewhere back in here, former Representative Tony Albright, he was up there, but now he's not there anymore. But all of a sudden we hear this, during a speech, this thunk. And I turn around and look, and all we see are Tony Albright's shoes and his fancy socks that he wears sticking up in the air because he had flipped over backwards in his chair. Those of you who are here probably remember that. It was a funny moment. My low moment, those long, endless floor speeches. If I could be remembered for one thing, I guess two things. One would be remember that I truly care. And the second thing is to be remembered as a bridger of gaps. Because we have gaps in this state. We have gaps between the left and the right. We have gaps between rural and metro, urban, suburban, rural. And we don't have to compromise our principles to bridge those gaps. I won't compromise on my principles, and you shouldn't have to either, but we can seek to understand and listen and respect and fill those gaps and find solutions that actually work to fix problems. So those are things I would like to be remembered for. I end this with mixed emotions, these 12 years, because part of me really wants to go on. There's so much more to do. And I've had many people in my own district and even up here say, won't you go on? And I've determined, I've been a believer in term limits from the start coming into this. I've even carried legislation on term limits. I've done this for 12 years. I know it's not supposed to be a career. Our founding fathers never meant it to be a career. So I'm term limiting myself at 12 years. It's no judgment on anybody who goes longer, but for me, to stand on my principles, I need to do that. So it's been a tough decision. I want to say thank you. Thank you to, first I'll start with the staff, LAs, our media writers, our committee administrators. I especially want to say thank you to Jody Withers. Worked with him from the beginning on education. He's been amazing. Great example of a committee administrator. I don't know, Jody, your brain must be in this high IQ area because I don't know how you do all that. But you've been amazing. Also, John Holquist, another one, committee administrator I've worked with that just, there are so many I could go on and I won't name any more names so that I don't leave people out. But also, our nonpartisan research. I think of especially Tim Strom and Christina Pera, who I've worked with on education. They've been amazing. Other staff, well, first of all, I have to say our chief clerk, Patrick Murphy, all of you up there, all of the Sergeant at Arms staff people, our troopers. It's amazing, and we could not do this without you. So thank you. And then just to all my colleagues, my friends, you've become family. It's hard to leave that, but it's been amazing, so thank you. And I just want to close by reading what has been my life scripture since probably my early college years. And I want to share this with you. It's from the 37th Psalm, starting with verse 3. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday. So thank you to everybody, both in this chamber and without. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with you and to serve my local communities. And I'll just say, this is never goodbye. It's just see you later. So thank you.